have looked into my eyes. You have seen what I am, but still you're by my side, telling me I can't. And there are times I've caused you pain, and times I made mistakes. Somehow you use them all to make the eye you made. Oh, every good thing I have done, everything that I've become, everything.
Good evening and welcome to All About Us Talk TV, where our mission is to motivate our youth to create opportunities for themselves and to define their greatest desires. My name is William Teddy Portwine.
And I am Herman Dunham Jr. And during this segment of the AAU Teen Talk, Bricks, Building Bricks format, which is a youth program that was developed by us where we deal with brotherhood, relationships, integrity, character, knowledge, and synergy. And I'm just happy to be here today. Yes. And we have a great guest.
Very great guest. And today we have with us the real Rick Ross. He's in the building, all the way from the West Coast. The brother's been really turning things around for himself and other folks as well.
Absolutely.
We got a real good show coming up. You know, at this time we would like to also thank our sponsors of AAU Teen Talk TV. Mr. and Miss Roger and Shavonna Johnson are the founders of the Whitney E. Johnson Foundation Incorporated, a 501c3 organization. They provide mentoring, tutoring, counseling, and the executive producers of AAU Teen Talk TV, radio, and also the CEO, CFO, founders of AA Youth Magazine. To get more information, go to www.aaUYM.com and order your AA Youth Magazine today. We will be right back after this short commercial break with the real Rick Ross.
Stretching under sedation or manipulation under anesthesia is a very gentle, very precise procedure to very slowly release any scar tissue that is formed as a result of a traumatic injury. Many people ask, how does this work? Will I get hurt? Will you stretch me too far? We only stretch the body part to its normal range of motion. After completing the post-MUA rehabilitation program, it's very common that our patients say to us, hey, I can play ball with my kid again. Hey, I can bowl again. Hey, I can enjoy hiking again. This is what makes it rewarding to us as practitioners.
With the most inventory in stock, including vinyl, chain link, and aluminum. Offers a custom powder-coated system that prevents rust throughout the life of the fence. We carry fence tools to the trade. We even stock wood, rail, and glass hardware as well. Shannon Gates has our very own patented locking system. The next time you need fencing of any sort, both commercial and private, give Shannon Gates a call at 631-392-4330. You can also visit our website at shannongatesinc.com.
Welcome back to AAU Teen Talk. And as Mr. Portwine mentioned earlier, we're really excited to have our guest here today. And there's been a little discrepancy even with our team. We were trying to figure out, Rick Ross, which Rick Ross. was it? And we like to say the real Rick Ross.
The real Rick Ross, the real deal.
So, Mr. Ross, man, thank you so much for coming and joining us today, man. We appreciate it. And just kind of open up and just tell us a little bit about yourself. And
Well, I really appreciate you guys having me here, and that's always the case. Whenever I go, I just spoke at East High School in Columbus, Ohio, last Friday, and when I got there, the principal was a little like, "Hold up, like, this guy here, we're gonna let this guy speak." But after I finished speaking, he saw the effect that I can have on the kids, and I'd almost sold all my books when I was there. I had like 7 books left, and the kids were like, "Man, I want one of them books. I want one of the books." So one of the kids reached in his pocket to buy the book, and I was like, "How much money you got?" The book, $20. So he didn't have 20. He only had 9, and I said, "Well, I'm selling them books for 20." And he was like, "Well, can I have one?" Because I always give one kid a book that answers the question correct, or come up and do a reading for me. So I gave one of the kids a book, and it was just amazing how all of them wanted books. And one of the kids said, "Well, just let me read a paragraph out of it." And I let 3 of them read out of the book. And then the principal came up to me and he said, "Man, these guys want to read. You got these guys wanting to read." So for me, that was like just amazing, and it just made me realize, when I was writing this book, I talked about in here why I didn't read when I was in high school, why reading wasn't important to me. And people want to read stuff that they can relate to.
Right.
We don't want to read about no animals and animals doing day-to-day life. We want to hear about somebody that look like me.
Right.
Somebody that stays in my neighborhood, to actually get to read about that means a lot to the kids, and I'm just excited that I'm able to assist in that realm.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
It's a good thing, young folks, like any one of us who went to school, want to be able to relate to material that's in front of them.
Absolutely,
know, and
absolutely.
That's our realities.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily what's in the textbook, but when we wake up every morning and go outside, we can relate to Rick Ross because he's been there.
And Rick Ross is the guy staying next door to you.
Right,
There's
exactly.
Rick Ross in every ghetto in this city. A lot of people, they hear me talking about, because I do, get on some of the rappers about their lyrics, but at the same time, I understand why they make their lyrics. Usually for a young black male, the first role model you see in most households is a neighborhood drug dealer.
Right.
He's the first successful person that you're going to probably run into.
Absolutely.
In the ghetto. We don't own gas stations. Blacks don't own liquor stores. We don't own furniture stores. We usually go and buy at all those places. So if you're a young black male and you want to be a business owner and you want to relate or have an idea of somebody that you can be like, it's usually, the young black drug dealer. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about what Jesse Jackson is doing with his thing today. And I didn't even know what it was going to be when I came. But to hear them talk about now going back to the community, and not being afraid. I was in one today, and the guy was saying how his colleagues talk against him going to the community. Oh, they're going to break in your car. And he said when he got there and he started talking to the kids loved him.
Right.
Right. And I thought they just loved me, but
Right.
now I see that they love anybody that comes back.
They really do.
Offering to give a hand.
They really, really do.
Well, that's why we have to also be very aware about the propaganda machine.
Exactly.
The media will have us looking at each other in that manner. I went to college in Sacramento. So I was out there in 1990. And we played Compton College. So like any guy from the hood, I want to go to the hood.
Yeah.
I want to see how you guys get down.
Right.
And it was totally different from what was being
Portrayed on TV.
They were some of the coolest guys. I met Crips, I met Bloods. We got along.
Yeah.
But everywhere you go, it seems like the social and economical situation is the same.
Well, I studied marketing when I was in prison, and one of the things that I found out is that big corporate news companies know that bad news sell better than good news.
Right.
So
Right.
they're going to put 3 times more bad news out than they're going to put out good news.
Right.
And it's a business and shareholder a decision. You know, it's not something that they may consciously say, you know, we just want to promote bad news, but economically it makes sense.
Right. It's a business.
I like the business mindset too. You said
Yes.
you studied while you were away in prison or whatever, and coming from where you come from, as far as history, and we all have a past. Moving into that mindset of the business, what's the difference?
Well, really no difference, man. I read in one of my favorite books. I'm gonna give you a little synopsis of what I found out. I was reading a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, and he talked about a young man going to a brick maker, wanting to learn about diamonds. So what I equated with that scenario was that I went to a drug dealer and asked him how to make money. So the drug dealer gave me what he knew, which was a sack of drugs.
Right.
When I should have been going to a banker, asking a banker how to make some money. But the two fields are almost identical. There's really no difference in selling drugs, selling money, selling books, selling tennis shoes, houses. It's all the same principle. And once you have those principles, they're versatile. They can go from movies to books to speaking to really anything that you want to do.
So like brothers who are trapped in the drug game or in gangs, essentially, they really have the tools already to make that transformation.
They do.
Rather than wait until the situation
They develop them.
turns
They
out
already
right,
have them.
right,
And
right.
that's one of the things that I really try to give our young brothers when I go out and speak to them and let them know that, you take somebody like Bill Gates and put him in South Central, he may not make it. See, he may not know, don't go over this street with no red on, talking crazy. Because Compton is cool,
Right.
but if you go over there talking crazy,
Service,
Yeah.
they'll bring your hat to you.
When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
So our kids already know certain survival tactics that they've learned. Now what they have to do is learn how to take those same tactics and use them toward corporate America. And I don't believe that they teach them that in school.
Right.
They more teach them to go to corporate America and work. But, the skills that I've been using, and I'll be honest with you, I learned them from selling drugs, or they dominant. You know, people tell me, "Oh man, you sell your book like you selling drugs. You're not supposed to sell a book like that. You're supposed to go and let Simon & Schuster come out and give you a book deal." And I was like, "Okay, that's the way you sell your book."
Right.
I've been on the Amazon bestsellers list
Right.
for 5 months right now. I'm on
Beautiful.
Kindle, Nook, Barnes and Noble. I'm on all they best-selling lists. Barnes and Noble is working right now, trying to get me where I can put my books in their stores, where I can start doing a Barnes and Noble tour.
Right.
And we really doing this with people who really have no experience in publishing books. And now other people are coming to me saying, Mark Curry last night came to me and said, "Man, I want to do a book too."
Right.
So he's asking me how to help him do his book because they're seeing the success that I'm having in mine.
Beautiful.
A lot of it is just basic principles. It's a
Same
product. You're selling the product. You got demand.
Treat people nice, making people feel
Customer
special.
service.
Customer service.
And check this. We got him in the room. We ain't got to call the phone and get somebody from India reading the script. We got him here. You know what I'm saying?
But I want to point out, and I teach this to young people, that you can hustle in business, but you can't hustle as a business. And you have to, there's a part where you have to be ethical. We teach paradigms and principles, especially in the BRICS program. And we just did a conference in November. It was phenomenal. And I explained to the young men that, number one, a lot of young men run from the suit and tie. And I told them, I said, there's nothing more dynamic than a young man in a suit and tie that's in control of himself,
Right.
that knows what he wants to do and able to bring that out. So just, kind of transitioning it back, it's like there's certain things that you can do in business that you really can't do outside because you can't keep it.
Yeah.
basically
You can't keep
discipline. And it's funny you say that because this gentleman here basically educated himself while incarcerated
Absolutely.
and overturned his conviction where he was
Absolutely.
facing life and he didn't have to do the life sentence. So just that moment to sit down and be still, have the discipline to focus, changed his life to the point where he's sitting here with us today.
And too, you know, I got to give my cellie credit too, because my cellie saw something in me that nobody else had saw in me before, and he convinced me that I was smart enough to read. See, because it becomes a point in your life. I believe that the system dumbs us down.
Yes, yes. We agree.
Right
we
now,
agree.
they're dumbing our kids down with you a thug, you a B,
Don't
you
open
a
that
this.
up.
You know, so they've been dumbing us down into believing. See, I believe that I was Superfly, and I wanted to be Superfly. Not only did I believe I wanted to was Superfly, but I wanted to be Superfly.
Right.
So I actually pursued that mentality, that lifestyle, and I didn't just pursue it, you know, partially. No,
Right.
no, I dove into
You
it
went in. Right.
head first.
Man,
you know,
$3 million a day.
was ready to die for it.
Yeah, you was
ready
doing
to
it.
kill for it. And then, you know, even when I sit in prison and I look back at my life, was even willing to sacrifice my family for it.
Wow.
You know, a point too, and I like what you said, that you were willing to, you know, you just went all in. And what I've learned is, in this process, that once a man uncovers his passion or his purpose and really gets focused into it, there's nothing that he can't accomplish. And proof is that it's been done, really, only quite a few people were able to do it in the negative sense.
Right.
But it is so much like now I know that you're really living your passion. You're really, you know, you're out promoting the book. You're talking to people. You know, the kids are loving you. They're, you know, being attracted to you and so forth. And adults as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that there's 101 jewels inside of this book.
Oh, it is. It
And,
is. I wrote this book. When I wrote this book, I had a life sentence without the possibility of parole. And I saw Tookie Williams, who had almost won the Nobel Peace Prize for writing his book.
Right.
Well, Tookie grew up in my neighborhood. He was what we call a big homie. Somebody that I looked up to. And when he wrote his book, I was like, wow, if Tookie wrote a book about gangbanging, maybe I should write a book about selling drugs and give the kids all the ins, all the outs, everything that they needed to know about the drug business. And the other thing that you were saying, one of my favorite books is As a Man Think. It talks about once a man makes up his mind to do something, then you better stand back because he's sure to accomplish his goal.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
have that.
So my question to you, you was able to make the transformation. And I really want to go into a little bit more about the literacy because you also have a foundation now. As well as doing public speaking and promoting the book, you are doing other things to outreach to the youth and to get this message across. So just to touch on the literacy part of it, let's just go into a little more of that.
Well,
And,
you know, literacy, I found out reading was so important because I've been places in my mind that I've never been in my body. Woo! I know people that I've never met in person, but I know their stories. I was able to take their books. One day I'm in service. A guy got me to go down to the Nation of Islam service, you know, finally after.
Okay. Yeah.
So he convinced me to go down, and I saw Minister Farrakhan.
Okay.
And when I saw Minister Farrakhan, you know, for the first time in my life, I saw a black man that spoke like I ain't never seen a black man speak before in my life. I think he's the most prolific speaker probably in the world that I've ever heard of. Well, anyway, he started talking in this video about study them. And so when I left, I'm like, what was he talking about? Then it popped in my head, study the people that run the country. So they had read, you know, they had wrote about me in newspapers that I sold drugs like Walmart, that I sold drugs like McDonald's. So what I did is I wanted to find out what did Sam Walton do. You know, what was his secrets? So what I did is I went and bought his books. So I read 3 books on Sam Walton. I wrote 2 books I read 2 books on McDonald's to study what they was doing, because these were the power brokers. These were the people that was dictating what our world is like right now today. So I started studying them, and that came from that day that Minister Farrakhan told me to study him. So I went from them to Donald Trump, to Bill Gates, to the guy who owns Facebook, you know, who I'll be at their
Zuckerberg?
headquarters.
Yeah.
I got invited to their headquarters in the end of February.
Wow.
To speak. So,
Congratulations.
and I credit all that to him first giving me the tip that I should be studying these people. When I look back at my drug business, I studied drug dealers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I saw what they were doing wrong, and I started to implement my own practices inside of it.
Okay, we're going to run to commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to give our audience a clip of that. We have a video, but you're doing something
Of the literacy.
yeah,
this
yeah,
literacy
piece.
program.
Okay? All right.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Guys, ready for the show? Yeah. Enjoy.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn?
Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure.
You'll be happy you did.
Welcome back. We're here with the real Rick Ross at AAU Teen Talk TV. This is the Brick segment. And right now we're going to take you into a clip of Mr. Ross's literacy program. And we just want you to check it out and see that all of the great work that he's doing with the community and the youth.
I was sitting in the courtroom, right, and things started going through my mind that I never thought about before. It was like, what are you doing here? Why are you sitting here today looking at a life sentence? Why are you not sitting in the seat that your lawyer's sitting in? Not sitting in the seat that your judge is sitting in? What separated you from them? I used to think that I was born to be a drug dealer, that this is what I was made for. You know, this is me, this is my life.
Nobody was bigger than Ricky Ross in the crack cocaine arena back in the 80s. Ricky was the guy.
I was going through like $1 million worth of drugs just about every day. Eventually, I get busted and go to prison. They brought the indictment to me and I couldn't read it. So I never learned how to read or write. I was 28 years old and had never read a book. When you're celly with somebody, you're spending 23 hours a day locked up with him. And I finally revealed to him that I couldn't read, and he convinced me that I was wrong about myself. Because he was telling me, man, you can read. And I was like, nah, man, I can't read. He was like, Rick, man, you one of the sharpest dudes in this building. You can read. It was a prisoner that made me my cue cards and taught me how to sound out my ABCs. I was 28 years old and I'm walking around in prison going, put my card in my pocket, I went from there to studying the law. I know now that I could have been doing anything because the issue that got me out of prison, I found it in the law book. Books really like peel my eyes open and, you know, and allow me to see and to just expand myself and just be a person that I never thought that I could be. Had I not learned how to read for myself, I would still be in prison right now.
Crack in the system. Now, as far as, you know, Rick, he feels like he done a lot of negative, but he done a lot of positive because he's a hands-on experience kind of guy, someone who lived the life, who basically can show the kids that you don't have to do what I've done.
Freeway, Ricky Ross. We need Rick Ross in this campaign. The experience of all people who've either used and are reformed or who've ever sold and they just continued selling it, whatever their role has been.
Yeah, I had a life sentence. Wow. You know, I was illiterate when I went to prison. I couldn't read or write, had never read a book.
And just like we need retired law enforcement people who have come to this campaign because they became aware of some of the ills they perpetuated on society, we need him, we need the Rosses to come to be with us so that there's something authentic in the campaign, that people can feel somebody knows what you're talking about. Here's a man who's been through it, who now wants to change, wants to be a change agent, who wants to bring light to a certain element of this problem, and I welcome him.
So I don't even look at myself as being part of the crack problem anymore, because I got a job to do now.
What we just saw was a clip of the real Rick Ross giving back to youth in the community and talking about with lack of an education, what road it can lead you down and how he's made a change and how you can make a change. Today, there are a lot of young folks. I was reading a report that said 60% of all juveniles that interface with juvenile court of functionally illiterate, 70% of inmates. And then I also read another statistic that talked about cutting funding for school programs in these same communities, but raising the budget for policing. So
prisons.
And prisons, and spending on prisons.
Yeah.
So it's like one big mushrooming thing.
Well, it boils down to who has the power, and right now police unions are super powerful, so they can dictate who's going to be doing what. You know, they got. I was in San Francisco and I spoke at one of the NAACP platforms, and I spoke on there with the superintendent for schools in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he was saying that now they call it the kindergarten to prison pipeline. It used to be from schools to prison pipeline, but they dropped it down now that they say that they can tell who's not doing right in kindergarten, that who's going to be going to prison, and you know, to me that's insane.
Right, based on reading scores.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
You know, and I want to first commend you. And I've learned to do this with brothers, because I used to always say, I'm not going to pat you on the back for doing what you were supposed to be doing.
Right, absolutely.
Excuse me. But I want to say that I'm proud of you for overcoming, because I know along the lines there was so much going on, so much negative resistance pushing against you.
Absolutely.
With, you know, from the door.
Absolutely.
All the way through, even now and even into tomorrow. It's, you know, it's going to be the same thing. But I know that I hear in your character, or I hear your character, and I hear, you know, your voice, the sincerity of what you have and what you have to offer, and in doing it. And then the other piece is the level of intellect. That, you know, we're sitting here feeding off of is phenomenal. And to see the clip,
I'm very impressed.
And come here, and you know, and we had a little conversation off set, you know, about the different things, and you know, even when you were talking to one of the young brothers about what to do and how to do, and you know, remove the money from the, and it was crazy. I was very impressed, and you know, I am definitely honored to be in your presence.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here as well. And,
I think we all feel that way at the AAU family.
And our people need this. You know, our kids need to hear dialogue that makes sense. You know, because like we said earlier, there's so much negativity and rhetoric out there. You know, and my man Napoleon Hill, he talks about a radio being on 2 channels at the same time. You can't understand what they're talking about. So. So it's so much of that out here that you know, that we have to constantly fight so that they can get the proper messages that they need to get, because you know that other channel is dominant.
Yeah.
You know, that negative channel, man, is just pouring it on. So we have to fight as a community to make sure that our kids know that there's another way, and that they can succeed.
And I want to throw a quick plug in here for the bricks, right? Because, you know, you talked about your selling. And I was vibing with one of the young brothers earlier.
Yes.
And telling him that the acronym for bricks is brotherhood, relationships, integrity, character, knowledge, and synergy. But how important that brotherhood piece is for you to be able to, you know, lean to your brother, and your brother be able to give you some information when normally we didn't really take information from, direction from another guy.
Right.
You know, it was, you know, the competitive piece. So I heard you bring that out, you know, and then, you know, I feel the sense of camaraderie that, you know, we've developed here today. And, you know, we've began to open our minds. And I think one of the points that I want to express, especially to the young brothers that are watching, is that, and I'm sure you've done it along your travels, because you keep talking about the office. You know what I mean? That you found someone that was doing the right thing and saying the right thing that you could learn from.
Absolutely.
And you attached onto them and actually continued on. So who are you leaning to now? Who's the mentor now? Who's the role model now?
Well, I got so many role models. You know, it's crazy. The people that are assisting me right now, you know, from Congresswoman Maxine Waters to Jesse Jackson, Bishop Noel Jones.
Preacher to LA?
Yeah, that's my man. That's my man.
I like Dietrich. What's that name? Dietrich?
Dietrich Hatton.
Yeah.
It's good brother. Good brother. Good brother.
My manager James Wallace. I mean, it's just so many, and even the ones that see what I was able to do is I found out is a person can mentor you even if you don't know them.
Absolutely.
See, you can read in the newspaper about somebody and learn from them. You know, even though all the guys that I read about in prison that I wanted to meet, I met them all. You know. Don King, Louis Farrakhan, Les Brown, who else? Might be one more. I can't think of the name. I met Denzel.
Come on, man.
Now, question. Sometimes it's very important to be able to reach out and touch people that you resonate with and that you identify with. How did that impact your life, meeting those gentlemen you just named?
Well, it confirmed to me that the principles that I was practicing worked because it wasn't luck, even though they didn't understand why I met them.
Right.
You know, none of the people that I met understood why I was sitting in their office or in their house or whatever location we was in, but it was something that I had planned. You know, I also studied the powers of the subconscious and the mind, and they talk about that the mind works off wavelengths, just like a radio. You know, you can't see the waves from a radio, but you know that the radio is getting a signal from somewhere, where our mind can shoot off waves to other people, other like-minded people. And for me going to meet those guys were just another part of the conference that these principles do work. I mean, in almost any field.
Right. We call
that.
Floyd
Mayweather picked me up from the halfway house.
Really?
Yeah. They did an article. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but they did an article on me in LA Magazine, which is the biggest magazine out of LA.
Right.
And the guy who wrote the article used to write for LA Times and Texas Monthly. Well, he wrote an article for Texas Monthly. He came to visit me, and this was his last time visiting me. In his mind, that's what he had. And when he came, he talks in this article about me being defiant.
Wow.
Really?
And I'm telling him things that I'm going to be doing. You know, I'm telling him that, well, I'm going to be helping the politicians dictate law. I'm going to be doing boxing matches. I'm going to be doing books. I'm going to be having my own clothing line. I'm going to have a movie out. And I have a life sentence. My case hasn't been reversed yet. But I knew that my case was going to be reversed because I had studied the law. Now, he didn't know that. In the article, he writes that he felt that I had went delirious.
Because he took you on face value. He underestimated you.
He underestimated me, and he didn't understand what I understood.
Right.
So when I got out, me and him riding down the street, he rewriting the article for the LA Magazine, and now he's dumbfounded. And then when he started to see me doing all the things that I told him I was going to do, then he was really bamboozled. And
wow. Amazing.
Well, like you said, you know, the power of the mind. Our minds is probably the greatest asset we have. But probably in these days and times, it's very least used, and I hate to say that, but, you know, that's what it is.
Well, and it's only because we don't know. It's only because nobody has never taught us how to use our minds in the proper form, you know. In The Richest Man in Babylon, he talks about, he's in a room full of people, and he talks about when you take the bag of gold or the clay tablets of wisdom. Well, most people want to get that gold,
right?
Not knowing that the gold is soon depleted, but the clay tablets of wisdom will last you forever.
That's infinity.
Take you everywhere. Take you anywhere and everywhere you want to go.
And once you have that, you get all the gold you want.
Get all the gold you want. So that's what we have to get our kids to understand, and that's what I teach. You know, a lot of people, they get on me because I don't tell our kids don't use drugs, don't sell drugs. It's not my job.
Right.
My job is to give them the information and let them make their own decision.
Right.
Because I believe that our kids can think. I don't think that they're too dumb to not use drugs if they know what drugs are before they get started. Because once you get started, it's harder to cure a problem than it is to prevent it.
Right. Prevention is key.
Right. That's a great thing, man. And you're right. A lot of times we I was reading somewhere that they were saying, a lot of folks see a 7-year-old kid with promise, and they won't cultivate that and nurture that. They'll say, oh, that's just a 7-year-old, but never pay attention to that gift and never nurture it. So what you're saying now, it just brings that back to mind. It resonates with me, what you're saying about not being preachy, but letting them make their own decisions, which is rightfully so.
Absolutely. And when you see that talent, with most of us, if it ain't no money involved, well, we just ain't gonna do the job. When we see a job needs to be done, but who's gonna pay for it? I go to so many the nonprofit meetings and things like that, and the first thing that they all holler is, who's gonna pay for this? Who's gonna pay for that? And what I've learned is that when you do the work, the money will come.
So it sounds to me like you got a strong faith. Like, have you like, has this changed your? We know it changed your way of thinking and how you see things to a degree because you already had the entrepreneurial spirit. This just kind of like took you to another level. But it appears to me, consciously, like you're more conscious, like you awakened,
Absolutely.
like you arrived, and now it's time for you to move forward.
Well, you definitely, once your eyes have been opened, then you can see. When you read the Bible and they say Jesus taught the blind to see, I don't believe that he was teaching the physically blind. He was teaching the people that was blind to the ways of the world, how to see what was going on inside the world. And I feel like that has happened to me. I've been born again, so I can see now. It's much more clear than it used to be to me.
So I want to know, like, what's next? Because, the book is a marvelous piece. By the way, you can get the book on Amazon. Freeway. I want to say it slow because every time I say it fast, I mess it up.
Just say the real Rick Ross, man.
Ross. And I'm looking forward to definitely reading this by Rick Ross with Kathy Scott. Beautiful thing. And so when we roll back, I really want to find out what's next. And it's, I know after the book is done and so on and so forth, but I would really like to tap into the vision and see that picture. And so I guess I want to give you.
You're gonna make people think I'm
share
crazy.
A little bit. Nah, brother,
I start telling you what I'm thinking, and they gonna think I'm crazy, man.
Well, listen,
you gonna expose me.
Listen, you in good company because I get it all the time. So don't worry about it. We got each other.
Oh boy, are we going to commercial now?
No.
But then you can let loose, brother.
Yeah, wow. Share the vision.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidisciplinary practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service. Many times patients come into our office and they have what's called a soft tissue injury. Soft tissue injuries are like scars inside your body. If you've ever been cut on the outside of your body, you get a scar. The same thing happens inside of your body to your muscles and ligaments. So our job is to determine where those are, stretch the muscles, adjust the vertebra back into their correct position, and then refortify the normal structure with exercise. That's what we do best, and I hope someday you'll come see us at one of our two offices. Thank you.
Welcome back to the BRIC segment of AAU Teen Talk TV. We have two very special guests in the studio, along with Mr. Rick Ross, Mr. Herman Dunn, and myself. We have Judson and Tiana.
How you doing? How you doing? Nice to meet you too.
So we know you guys have been listening to the interview, and we talked a little bit prior to. So do you have any questions you'd like to ask Mr. Ross?
Oh, do you want me to go first? Okay.
Ladies first.
Okay.
Ladies first.
If you grown up in a different location, do you think you would have still chose the path that you chose, or is it more of a self-sufficient type of choice?
Well, I believe that our community definitely shape us. I believe that everything that you are from all the people that you've come in contact with, from your mother, your aunties, your friends, even people that you don't like, you build up a personality from them as well. So we are a conglomerate of everything that we've come in contact with in our life, and that shapes our mindset. So it's very well that if I could have been in a different community, that I could have came up with different ideas about what I should be doing with my life. But I could have been in a different ghetto where the same things were going on, and I possibly could have been the same person that I became. So I definitely believe that environment definitely shapes who we are and how we think about different situations. I mean, in some countries, when people die, they don't cry, they celebrate. Yeah. And if you cried, everybody in the village would be mad at you and thinking that you're jealous because this person is going to a better place and you wasn't chosen to go to that place. So definitely where you at, what people think, definitely affects us as human beings.
Justin, you had a question?
My question is basically, like, I know I have knowledge that you've been through incarceration, and I see you now as a major success. Me personally, I've had some past troubles with the law, and I got a lot of big aspirations to do great things with my time on earth. So what I want to ask you is, like, what took you from, like, I understand you learned how to read, that got you out of prison, but what took you to getting out to where you are now?
Well, while I was in prison, I studied. I looked at myself and I said, you know what? You never had a job. You never even filled out a job application. So what you have to do is you have to be above everybody else. You can't be just the average person. You have to be above everybody else. So you have to, your knowledge has to be so keen that you can't be denied a position. And the other thing that I did, like I was telling you about, I took money out of the equation. You know, right now, I just make enough money to survive. You know, right now I'm living from paycheck to paycheck, from rent to rent. I don't buy clothes. I haven't bought clothes since I've been home. I've been home 6 years. I haven't bought no pants, no shirts myself. You know, most of the stuff that I get is hand-me-down. The only shirt that I bought is my own brand here that I'm wearing. The real Rick Ross is not a rapper. But other than that, I've been getting from wherever, hand-me-downs, secondhand clothes, because I know how valuable my money is. Your money will work when you sleep. Your money will work harder than you can work. So it's very important that you take your money and put it in a position to where you can go out and do speeches for free. Because a lot of times I had to go out and speak for free before, you know, I was able to get the University of Louisville, Kentucky to pay me $3,500 to come out there for 45 minutes and speak. Or Brown University to pay me, I had to prove myself first. And then once they saw that I proved myself, then it was okay. And I still haven't got my money, because when I spoke to them, I told them, I said, oh, they paid me $3,500. Y'all got it cheap today. Because I feel like I should be getting $45,000 for 45 minutes. You know, because of what I did and the way I studied. You know, I stopped watching TV. I stopped watching, stopped listening to the radio. I stopped playing games, you know, table games, cards, dominoes. You know, a lot of people in prison was playing dominoes and cards. Well, I had business books studying about what it was I wanted to do. Because I look back at my drug career, and I wanted to be a master in the drug business. And that's how I made money. I found out the reason I didn't make money in the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. So as I learned how to become a drug dealer, then I started to make money. So with anything that you're going into, learn what it is. Don't worry about the money, because the knowledge is going to get you the money.
Beautiful. I know that I tell young people in their process of change, in order to become someone or something, you have to know. You have to know exactly who or what it is that you're striving to become.
Absolutely.
And once you lock into that, you know, my man used to say, treat it like it's your last day, like your life depends on it. And that's how you move. And that's how you move.
You know, it's a story that talks about that in the books.
In your book?
No, not in my book, but in Acres of Diamonds.
Okay.
Talks about an old African wise man that everybody goes to for knowledge. And he tells a story about a young guy that comes to him for wisdom, and he takes the guy out, and make it short, he takes him out in the water. Oh, yeah. And he holds him up under the water. Yeah. And the guy's fighting, trying to get loose, and he takes him out, and then the guy said, man, I come to you for advice, and you almost killed me. He said, how did you feel when you was under that water? He said, man, anybody want to know? I wanted to breathe. He said, oh, so you wasn't thinking about your mother? You wasn't thinking about your kids, your girlfriend? You didn't care what size Shaquille O'Neal's shoe was or how many points LeBron James scored. All you wanted was to breathe. He said, when you want success the same way, he said, you will surely have it.
Wow.
And that's the way I chase my success right now. And people get mad at me. My wife, she's mad because I'm always on the road. But at the same time, I know what I have to do to accomplish my goals. And then once I accomplish my goals, I know that I can slow down.
Got one more question?
Sure.
How do you deal with like distractions, or like any of you could obviously answer this, distractions that you may cross when you're trying to get to a certain goal? Because just regular life for females or males, you know, can throw you off or distract you.
Well, you try not, if you find out it's a distraction, so if it's a distraction that you can't recognize, then that's really a problem. But now, if it's a distraction that you recognize, you're supposed to get rid of it. And to be honest with you, when you know what your problem is, you're ahead of the game.
I think, too, if you don't mind me adding, communication. Because sometimes before we embark on a journey, we need to have that conversation with our parents. We need to have it with our girlfriends, with our wives, with those that are around us. And we need to let them know that we need time to be able to do what it is that we're, striving to do. And in that, it should be almost accepted that, you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish and that they have to give you the room. And because, those around you can be some of the biggest distractions. It doesn't necessarily have to be the TV and so forth. So,
Can I piggyback on what
sure,
you just said?
Please, we're rolling.
A lot of times the people that are close to you are going to be your biggest naysayers. They're not going to believe in your dreams because it's not their dream. So they might tell you, Les Brown, he talks about on his video when his son came up talking to him about rap. He was like, man, this rap stuff, you going to do it? And then he said he had to go back and remember when he went to his mother, told her he wanted to be a motivational speaker. And he was going to quit doing politics. His mother went crazy. So sometimes our family could be our biggest naysayers, but you have to know for yourself, like with me, with my issue that I found that got me out of prison, I had to know because my life depended on it. Was this the right decision to go with? Because my lawyer didn't think it was. He wanted to argue a different argument than what I wanted to argue. So you have to be complete in yourself to know that when I make this decision, if I make the wrong decision, I got to live with this. And not let anybody else tell you what decision you should be doing that's going to affect you for the rest of your life.
Right. And just to add on to what these gentlemen are saying, you got to understand that the here and now, it only happens once. So you got to be prepared to seize it when it comes. And your personal journey is your journey. Not everybody's going to be able to go. Dino and I are friends for 30 years. Grew up in the same neighborhood.
Played ball.
My mother lives within blocks of me. I maybe saw her 2 times in the past few years, and that's my mother. Because we're always doing something. Right. I write books as well, like Mr. Ross himself. We lecture. Because you guys are that important. Y'all are that important to us. We made the mistakes so you wouldn't have to. Right. And that's key. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. That's what we're doing. So you guys are key. Without you, there's no us because you're the future. And we understand that we have the power to affect millions of people that are not even born yet by what we do today. Right. What went on the records, what our legacy is going to be following generations to come. And that's all we're here trying to do. So it takes a lot of sacrifice, inner strength, and you got to stay focused on what you want, So
Absolutely.
Great jewels, man. Great jewels.
Okay, so we definitely coming to the end of the segment. We want to thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you for
asking the questions. We want to definitely thank you, the real Rick Ross.
The real Rick.
My brother.
For coming out. And
thank you.
Thanks.
Again, this is AAU Teen Talk TV. We are conducting the segment of BRICS. And you can reach out to the BRICS program at www.beautifulmenandwomen, spelled all the way out, yes is law, .com. And
also, where can anybody contact you, Mr. Ross?
Oh, man, they can get me on Instagram, Facebook at Freeway Ricky. Google me, I'm all out.
Yeah.
It's funny because we're actually Facebook friends.
I just got certified on Facebook, and Mark Courier was telling me today, man, I ain't even certified. So, man, it's good, man. But y'all hit me. Also, man, let me give y'all another tip. Make sure you go get those 3 books. Richest Man in Babylon, As a Man Think, Think and Grow Rich, and As a Woman Think.
And you forgot one.
Which one I forget?
Damn. Come on, brother.
You forgot one. Come on. Yeah, well, mine is in there, but I really want our kids to get their information for where I got mine from. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So they get
research.
All right, you want to hit with the sponsors, Ted, before we roll out?
Sponsors?
Should we thank the sponsors? Let's thank the sponsors. They made it all.
Yes. The sponsors, man. Thank y'all, man.
Miss Shavonna Johnson, Roger Johnson, the AAU Teen Talk TV, CEO, she's the one that makes it happen. And remember, behind every good man, there's a greater woman.
Yes, sir.